And that reminded me of some other story vaguely at your Rama church in Palmetto where you were instrumental in moving a grave site.
Yes, I did. When I married Woody, he told me this story about this man, Willis Menefee. And I knew a lot about Willis, but I didn't know anything about his burial plot. And it was across the street, and Willis's home was across from my mother and father-in-law's house. And Woody said, I'll take you over there sometimes. And we went. And the more I studied Willis Menefee, the more I realized his importance to the history of the town. And we discovered that there were two men in Fairburn that were going to build an apartment complex. And it was going to be right over the Menefee graves. And the only graves there were Willis Menefee's that had already been destroyed and a child's grave. So I took it upon myself to see if I could get Willis Menefee interred in another place. And since he was the owner of all of what was considered the town part of Palmetto and everything south of there for many miles, he was responsible for that. And so I started trying to see if I could get permission from the Menefee family and get him moved into the little town part which he originally owned. And I did. I met Mr. Timmons, who was his great-grandson, and he was a member of the Atlanta Historical Society. And he called me one day and wanted to know if he could put a history in a little book we were doing. And I said, you certainly can, but I want to meet you first. And he took me to the Atlanta History Center and showed me all of the Menefee papers and everything that was there. And Willis was a cousin of Margaret Mitchell's. So I got to see all of that too. And that's how I got him moved. It took me a year, and I checked with every sexton in the area to see what I would find when I moved him. And I was told that I probably wouldn't find anything but an old button or a buckle. And his mother, we found out, was buried with him, beside him.
Goodness.
So we did get Willis moved, and I had volunteers to help, and people in town volunteered money and gave me money to have all this done. So that was the first and last time I will ever move a person like that. He died in the 1850s, and I promised our man that owned the funeral home there that he would be glad to come and move him. But I said, you can't open this casket if we find one. Well, I ended up not calling Mr. Wright because by the time word got out in that little town that we were digging up Willis Menefee, I had an army down there watching us. And I could not do anything. I didn't know what to do, and I knew if I moved him to the funeral home, they'd follow me up there. So the two men that were in charge of digging the grave said, let's just go bury him right now. So they went into town. We decided to bury him in the little park area we had, and they buried him there that afternoon. And I got so upset. They did find the casket, and it was shaped like the one that George Washington was buried in, shaped like a bullet. It had a viewing plate on it, and you could slide that plate over and see their face. Well, everybody there was just wanting me to let's open it, and I wouldn't do it because I knew that Mr. Timmons and the Menefee family would not like that at all, and I would not do it. Well, I took a lot of flack for that, but I'm not sorry of it. But like I said, I will never get involved in disinterring someone else.
What year was that?
In the late 80s.
I don't remember it. That's why I was wondering.
It took me over a year to get permission from the family because I had to go. I checked every sexton, even the one in Atlanta, and she told me I wouldn't find anything except maybe a buckle or a button or something like that, but I didn't. I found the whole grave. It was a metal grave shaped like a bullet, and it was the type that George Washington was buried in. And I got so upset there at the grave that somebody took me and walked me down to the other part of the property because I was about ready to pass out. That's when Willis Menefee became a real person to me.